Okay, so I had a question about how I mix everything and how that's going on, and I don't think I really covered that very much. So I have a Focusrite audio interface. I also have this additional Focusrite, which is kind of like an add-on for the sound card. So in the original, it has 8 inputs with audio in, and then this, even though it's not a sound card itself, is an addition, and it just hooks up by an optical cable just through to the next, and then you just make sure the link buttons are linked, and then they're working together, and that gives you 16 channels. So basically I have 16 inputs and 16 outputs from this sound card. And they have the gain controls on the front, and if I fire up the 303, I can see the input signal and just adjust it and get something good. So that's cool, and it's a nice little sort of preamp type thing. So I love it, and it works really well. Again, being the cheapskate that I am, they're both second hand, and they've both served themselves really well for what is very little money actually. So in the Cubase that I use, and I'm sorry for the poor quality, but I can't be asked to do a screen catcher. So in Cubase, I've basically got all my equipment mapped out in the sound cards. So all the inputs across the back have got each individual piece of equipment, and so I've got it mapped out and I've got it saved as a template. So I will automatically open that template. Any of the sort of VST stuff I'll add as and when I need it in a track. And yeah, and I tend to sort of do all my mix downs for the most part in Cubase. I do have waves, and I do, when I go to the full-on mastering for something very specific, very special, then I'll take it through waves and do a little bit of analytics and kind of work on the sort of really pinpointing sounds and pulling them out. But for the most part, Cubase can do that fine. And a lot of the Reaktor mastering VST effects are great that I use. So yeah, and for the Reason into Cubase, so in your preferences you can have rewire mode, which some people may or may not have come across. I've always also used Live as a rewire as well. Quite a lot of things will do rewire, and what rewire opens up essentially is just a patch bay, a virtual patch bay, and you get by default line 1 and line 2 like the master in from Reason, but I can open up additional 16, well no, not even, I can open up another 64 channels on here directly from channels that I use inside of Reason. So once that's hooked up, what essentially happens is if I push play on Cubase, I've just thrown a sampler into a mixer in Reason, and the time bar goes, but it's locked with Cubase's. But what Cubase also has is an audio signal in from Reason. So I could do one of two things. I could individually put in each Reason VST, or I can put them into a mixer and run them through the master, which tends to be what I do. And then when it comes to bouncing down from Cubase, it will just automatically pull the audio out of Reason at the same time and just bounce it all down together. And yeah, it's really fun to do that. It really stems from when Reason didn't have VST capabilities for me, and there was a lot of VSTs I was using in Reaktor that were unique and individual to me and my sound. So I was using the VST plugins on the signal in of on Cubase to put VSTs onto Reason. So that's kind of how those two work together. The other thing that I do is with a lot of my effects I use buses, so I'll group things together, chain them together inside of folders, and then put like master glitch effects on top of them. So sometimes you hear individual glitching on individual maybe drum beats or synthesizers, and then all of a sudden you'll get like the whole group will glitch together, and that's how I'm doing it. So I'll group certain things, so the glitching is sort of moving and dramatically kind of separating different sections of the whole track, and the glitches, you get more manipulation from those glitchy sounds by doing something like that, really. So that's like a little tip and trick to kind of glitch and master kind of bus, and to glitch kind of bus things together, so you can kind of glitch individually and then master glitching, which can give you some pretty cool effects and some different sounds. So I hope that's useful. I hope that sort of makes sense of the whole way that I use the kind of mixing down of what I do. Certainly in the past, I have another studio and I have other equipment in it, and I have a big mixing desk, and I do have other synthesizers, some big old Korg synths which are a bit old now, M1s, and a couple of others, and there's some old synths in there which haven't made it across, because this is like a small room setup really, and I kind of like to keep it that way. A monitor in headphones is fine for what I'm doing. I have monitor speakers in my other studio, but for the most part I just want to work from home and just make stuff quickly. Then this is where it happens. So yep, there we go. I hope that helps.